I'm very well, thank you. Good afternoon to everybody. Dr. Nyati, Chair of Chairs, Baholo, Kalidumeri, Talolotle.
Hi, Sipho.
We are 2 minutes to go.
Okay, I think, okay, Zahira is in the meeting. Hi, Zahira, welcome. Madam Speaker, Zahira is from Tough Love. And she will be speaking on behalf of the NGO. Hi,
Okay.
Zahira.
Good afternoon, Zahira.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, and thank you for making time for the session.
It's a pleasure. It's only a pleasure. It's great to be here.
Thank you.
Thanks, Zahira. Councillor Ntombi is also here. She's now in the meeting. Councillor Ntombi, I was telling the leadership that you have requested to be excused at 5, and they said because you talk too much, you must manage your own time.
Please, it's possible.
Nganshisa.
Dr. Ntombi Khumalo. Afternoon, Sisi.
I'll do that.
We said you are the one who gets carried away because you have passion of these things.
Yeah,
then
that's true.
Yeah, so you
That's
will
never
be
a
with
bad
your own
thing,
self.
eh?
That's true.
All right. Nhlaka, can we check if all our panelists are on board, because we are exactly at 4 o'clock now.
In fact, we can go live, Madam. Everybody is here. We've got Zahira, we've got Dr. Ntombi, we've got Madam Speaker. Oh, we don't have Umama Tandi Boko, but it's fine. We can still go live. I'll just check up with her because she's the last speaker.
Okay, there's a number with 977, a long number. Who's the person? There's a long digit number starting with 977.
Madam Speaker.
Oh,
Madam
okay.
Speaker,
you're unmuted. You're unmuted.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's you. Okay.
So everybody is
Speaker.
here, Madam.
Madam Speaker.
Okay, it's Councillor.
Madam Speaker.
Hello, Daddy.
Madam Speaker.
Yes, ma, we can hear you. Sure, okay, sis. So, Doc, is it possible to rename her? Can we rename her? It's Councillor Thandi Bodko. I think she's the 977 one.
Okay, I'll do that.
Okay, we'll rename you, Mam Thandi. Okay, we are now starting the session. Our show is streaming live. We are streaming live on different social media platforms: Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. We are on social media. I greet you all, ladies and gentlemen, and I also greet those who are following us on the platforms that I have mentioned. And I want to say welcome to another one of our Women's Month special edition. Today, we are focusing on issues that affect women in our city. As we begin level 2 of the lockdown, the president announced the lifting of the alcohol ban, to much jubilation to most. Perhaps, ladies and gentlemen, I should put this disclaimer to say that this show is not about the demonizing of alcohol, because my view is that the problem does not lie with the product itself, but the usage of the product or consumption thereof. Interestingly, when it comes to South Africa's drinking culture, once the majority of adults abstain, those that drink do so heavily. I think we are the testimonies. We have seen that. According to the World Health Organization, alcohol is the main drug in South Africa, with 30% of the population being either alcoholics or at risk
got a network problem
of becoming so. You can't hear me? Can you all hear me?
I can hear you.
I can hear you.
Yes, I hear Gladys. I hear Nhlaga is saying there's a network problem. It's not on my side, isn't it?
Yeah, no, I think it's on her side because she's got
Okay.
load shedding.
All right. Okay, thank you so much, and sorry for that. So I was still saying that according to the WHO, alcohol is the main drug in South Africa, with 30% of the population being either alcoholics or at risk of becoming so. Research shows us that there is a link between our drinking culture today and our past. And without taking up too much time, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to give a quick background or history of alcohol in South Africa. Alcohol abuse in our country can be traced all the way back to the arrival of Dutch, who...
Oh no.
Not today, Aibo.
It mustn't do that now.
I can't hear the counselor.
She's gonna have to repeat.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
All right, she mustn't do that now. And it.
Hello, can you hear me?
Oh,
Yeah,
yes,
you were
we
gone
can
for
hear
what?
you now. Sorry, we lost you for a
Lost
long
you.
while.
Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry.
No problem.
We lost you
I
where
think
you were talking
Dr.
about the Dutch.
Yes.
Oh no.
That Ntlaka, you guys must change that laptop.
Yeah, I guess we should.
But that looks like an internet connection problem.
No, it always happens like this.
Sometimes, yeah, it gives us a bit of a problem.
The microphone in her laptop is on and off.
Oh, goodness.
But this microphone is on and off when I'm in this show. I really can't believe this. I've done so many shows today and it has not been doing this. Sorry. Okay. Now I was saying alcohol abuse in South Africa can be traced all the way back to the arrival of the Dutch, who at the time used alcohol often to pay native laborers for their labor in the Cape Winelands. This eventually led to what was called DOP system. Those who were there at the time would remember the DOP system. I'm not sure if Doc would remember the DOP system. If Doc was around already at the time. So the wine farmers wanted to make their workers addicted to alcohol in order for them to stay on the wine farm, creating a sense of dependency, but also to get rid of the wine that was of little or no value to them. The DOP system was made illegal in the Western Cape in the 60s, but wasn't totally enforced until the new democratic dispensation. Fast forward to the apartheid era, the DOP system created a dangerous relationship between South Africans and alcohol and exacerbated the socio-economic issues such as poverty and lack of education. In this environment, beer halls were born and commercial alcohol was introduced. Those who were in the township at the time would remember what I'm talking about. Once it was illegal for non-European or non-white people to drink, shebeens started appearing in townships as a form.
Oh man. All right, that
We can't hear.
That microphone just at the wrong time.
At a very, very wrong time.
There we go. Now we got to
at a very wrong timing. I can see now because it just created an X in front of the microphone.
Yeah.
So I must always go and check there because it just develops an X there, and when there's an X, then you can't hear me. I was saying that the stress of apartheid on the mainly Black workforce was a likely contributing factor to deepening the relationship between alcohol and South Africans. It is also a likely causative agent of the high domestic violence prevalent in South Africa even today. This relationship, ladies and gentlemen, continued and deepened as millions of Black people moved from rural to urban areas searching for jobs and what you call better life. With the advent of affirmative action measures and BEE, the relationship between alcohol and South Africans has evolved to where almost all corporate celebrations involve alcohol and where Friday or month-end drinks are the norm. Through clever advertising, alcohol has been associated with the ideals of capitalism, wealth and status. So as we can see, the high alcohol consumption in South Africa has deep roots in our history. What we see today is that alcohol remains not without its challenges. And as a society, we are yet to deal with it effectively. We have seen that during the lockdown, the ban was lifted and then imposed again because, during its lifting, there was an increase in road accidents. There was a spike in alcohol-related trauma patients in hospitals, and the fact that alcohol abuse may also be linked to gender-based violence and femicide. In all that I've said, however, today's discussion will focus on the experience of the woman because we know that it is a contributing factor to some of the issues and social ills that women have had to deal with for decades now. We know that some of us were from families where we saw the abuse of alcohol as to what it does to a woman. So today, I wish for us to look at the abuse of alcohol and its devastation, particularly on women. Mine is to unpack how the abuse of alcohol, either by the woman herself or
Can't hear you. There, we're back. No, not yet.
You're not back. She must look at the X in front of her mic.
Yeah.
This X is disturbing me. Are you with me now? Am I with you now?
Yes, you
Yes,
are.
Okay. I was saying today I wish for us to look at the abuse of alcohol and its devastation, particularly on women. Mine is to unpack how the abuse of alcohol, either by the woman herself or loved one in her family, is affecting families and further disadvantaging this woman or the women. I'm in conversation with various guests who will tackle the different aspects of how alcohol abuse affects a woman. We are joined today by Dr. Ntombi Khumalo, who is a PR counselor in the city of Johannesburg, who will talk to the psychological and physiological effects of alcohol on women. Dr. Ntombi is now becoming a regular on the show, and we welcome you, and we appreciate that you are now a regular guest in the show. Welcome, Doc, and thank you once again for joining this key discussion. We are also joined by Ms. Zahira Sai, who is the Director of Counseling and Debriefing, representing Tough Love SA. Tough Love SA is an NGO which deals with families, care to those who have been affected by alcohol and or substance abuse. Ms. Sai will talk to the socio-economic issues that face women who abuse alcohol and those who are affected by loved ones who abuse alcohol. The NGO will also look at issues of economic challenges and perceptions around alcohol as it pertains to women. I hope I am not throwing you under the bus, Zahira.
No,
Welcome.
no, not at all. Thank you.
Welcome, and thank you very much for taking the time to join us on this platform. We really appreciate your presence.
Thank you.
Also have Councillor Thandi Boko, who is the chairperson of GOD in the city, which is the Oversight Committee on Gender, Youth and Persons with Disability. Councillor Boko will look at how government, business, NGOs, and society can join hands to change the negative attitude towards the consumption of alcohol and help women who are in desperate need of assistance. A very welcome to you, Chairperson of GOD, Thandi Boko. Also, a warm welcome to Councillor Salfina Mulauzi, who is the chair of chairs in the city of Johannesburg, and will offer us the closing remarks on this topic. Councillor Mulauzi is the second in charge in the legislature after the speaker, and she is very passionate about this community education programs we are doing. A warm greetings to our partner. You know, Doc, you must be a lifetime partner now of the city. Dr. Fundile Nyati, who is also a medical doctor and is also likely to have valuable insight on this topic that he will be sharing with us throughout the session. So he's very passionate about it. I'm sure he will be sharing valid points. Let me at this point get straight into it, ladies and gentlemen, and I will start with the good doctors on the platform. Dr. Ntombi, I think I should start with you. Please take us through the physiological and psychological effects of alcohol on the woman. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. So I think I like your intro, and I think it's very important to also draw attention to that particular point. You made a point around alcohol actually not being, the product itself not being, terrible per se, or, in the sense that, there's stigma around alcohol. So the consumption of alcohol can happen, it can be done in moderation, and in fact, it can in some instances have benefits for the body, whether male or female. But when abuse of alcohol is when it becomes a bit of an issue. And you've asked me to perhaps touch on the issues around physiological effects of alcohol on women. So research does seem to indicate that women tend to get more intoxicated in comparison to male. So you'll see also in the recommended use of alcohol, the quantities that, a female, for example, daily usage would be 1 drink, whereas a male per day would be 2 drinks. So women do basically achieve higher concentration of alcohol in the blood, Madam Speaker, and they tend to become more impaired in comparison to men after having consumed alcohol. I think you also mentioned accidents. There's also research, in fact, that indicates that, women are more likely to also, get involved in, motor accidents, etc. So women are more susceptible to alcohol-related organ damage. That has been seen with the use of abuse rather of alcohol as well. So generally in the body, alcohol does affect a number of organs, which is when it becomes unhealthy. So it can affect the liver, it can affect the skeletal system, it can cause liver diseases, lung diseases, it can also compromise your immunity. And I think even now with this COVID, I think we need to be more concerned and conscious around the use and consumption of alcohol. And I think, the government has tried to highlight the dangers of, overuse of alcohol during this period where there's a virus that, can be deadly. So alcohol does compromise your immune system, and people that consume alcohol do tend to be more, or abuse alcohol rather, do tend to be more susceptible to contracting or getting certain diseases such as pneumonia and TB. And we know pneumonia is a respiratory condition, and obviously it would make sense to try and guard and protect ourselves from that by obviously not abusing alcohol at this particular time. So alcohol also does interfere with the brain's pathways, and you'll know that alcohol does affect the mood and affect behaviors and change behaviors. So people who consume alcohol or abuse alcohol, rather not consume, excuse my term there, do tend to have increased aggression. I think we've seen that they tend to be more self-disclosure, and you'll see most people sometimes feel better to talk about their issues, either when they are, intoxicated, so that is also, an effect that results from the abuse of alcohol, and some people do tend to be sexual, adventurous, more sexual adventurous. And I think that's when, especially as women, we need to be more conscious. You go out to a club or you find yourself in a compromising situation where you have actually had too much to drink. You do place yourself in danger as a woman to what we already know women face, such as rape, all these sexually related incidences or acts that you tend to expose yourself to. But I really do again want to touch on the fact that alcohol, Madam Speaker, is not entirely, terrible. In fact, there are certain alcohols that, can benefit the body, such as tequila, for example, such as the red wine as well. But we really need to guard against the physiological effects, like you say. Things like affecting your fertility is very important for women as well. It affects male the same way, where it can affect your fertility as well. So I think it is quite crucial that we do, watch our alcohol content, the amount of alcohol that we take, and how much. And, I know often, we'll say to a person 1 drink per day, and then you get someone with a glass this big and they like, it's 1 drink and it's ultimately the whole bottle of wine in that one big bottle. So I think I'll leave it there for now in the interest of time. But, psychologically, it changes your mood, your self-esteem, etc. So, and it affects people differently. So you can either become more extrovert or you can become, more introvert, etc. So it affects different people differently. But I think what's crucial to keep in mind is the fact that you are not then at your normal state of mind or behavior or mood when you have abused alcohol, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Dr. Khumalo. I hope you did not hold back some of the points, because we, we already said you're talking too much, or you're taking a lot of time. I hope you didn't hold back, but you'll come back and share the important experience with us and the effect of alcohol psychologically and physiologically on women. And I like the fact that you are saying the content is a problem, and how do you manage the drinking if you drink is a problem. So I hope that our viewers are also learning and listening. Thank you so much, and thank you very much for your input. Let me go to you, Zahira Sai. If you just tell us, maybe firstly, the work that Tough Love does, and what would drive a woman towards the abuse of alcohol. Like we've heard Dr. Ntombi talking about abusing alcohol, not drinking, but abuse. So what would drive a woman towards that? And maybe in your experience, what are the social and economic challenges that come with the abuse of alcohol for a woman in particular? Okay. I'm not restricting you, but you can share as much information as
thank you. So let me begin first with what Tough Love does. Tough Love is basically a group. We're an NGO group that started off in 1988, where we started off helping people, families. So we're not a rehab. We're not a rehabilitation center. We're a center who help people who are on the receiving end of abuse, be it substance abuse, be it physical abuse, mental abuse, emotional abuse, all kinds of abuse, substance abuse, you name it. So that's where we are. We help those people empower themselves toward helping the abuser recover. So that's what we do. we currently have over 30 groups nationwide, and we have WhatsApp groups, which we'll get to later. So we help we help with the recovery from the devastating effects of substance abuse and alcohol abuse. What drives a woman towards abusing alcohol? I think that there are a number of factors. If I have a look here, the first thing that I like to talk about is the role of a female, and the role of a mother, and the role of a wife in society. I mean, the first thing we run to is having the perfect life, having the perfect business life. So we want to excel in business. We want to excel in marriage. We want to excel in being sociable, and that's what we want to do. But it creates a lot of stress, a lot of anxiety, and it quells up all this emotional frustration in us. And the easiest way to vent out is sometimes on a bottle, or sometimes on substance abuse. And that's where I feel that the increase of alcohol abuse has come in. Also, I mean, aside from all of that, aside from managing a career, a relationship, children, family commitments, and the pressures of being successful, some women also use it to feel more confident. And I think the previous counselor mentioned that. Dr. Ntombi said that, where they feel more confident, some of them feel uninhibited, when it comes to dating, when it comes to sex, they're quite happy just to go the alcoholic route and in order to feel alive and to feel different. Something which you mentioned, it also makes them introverted. It makes some people just sort of calm down. It makes them feel relaxed. However, the abuse of that has got dire consequences. A lot of studies have also shown that women who suffered from childhood sexual abuse are also more likely to have drinking problems. There are people who suffer from emotional drinking as well, where they have family members who are alcohol dependent, and they may have a partner who drinks excessively on a regular basis. They may have a history of clinical depression, or they have a history with physical abuse during childhood. So it's almost a way to numb away all of their pain and all of their frustration. Women are also being fed, like you said very aptly, Madam Speaker, is that you said that women are being fed alcohol as a necessary part of existence, and it's sad because they're getting pressurized by way of advertisements, by way of stresses from the workforce, from the Friday social gatherings, from family gatherings as well. The other thing is that I found that women who have partners who are heavy drinkers, these same women have difficulty maintaining close relationships, and a family history of alcohol problems can be a risk factor for drinking as well. Simply because from the research that I've done, alcoholism has got a genetic component. So women who have one or more family members who suffer from alcoholism are at an increased risk of developing an alcohol abuse disorder. And depression is another huge problem, especially from a psychological perspective. Depression raises the risk of problem drinking. And a lot of people, whether it's from a social perspective because you're single and you're trying to fit into social circles, whether you're trying to fit into work gatherings, whether you're trying to fit into family gatherings, you could easily suffer from depression, and drinking would help with that. Or abuse of alcohol, you seem to feel like you're numb from all of that. With regards to the social and economic challenges, I mean, a lot of people suffer from unwanted pregnancies, which is a huge problem simply because there's not enough and adequate support for the unborn child. People miss out on work. A lot of women will miss out on work and not realize, because they think that their loved one or their partner, is the breadwinner of the family, they don't understand, and they don't, because the alcohol abuse is such a major factor for them. They don't realize the consequence that it's having from an economic and personal income and economic standpoint. So aside from the financial cost, I mean, productivity at work diminishes. There are obviously pressure from loved ones for them to stop, which leads to, unfortunately, it's got a knock-on effect in them then feeling more anxious and wanting to break out and still wanting to continue on with the abuse of alcohol. Some women just feel that they feel the pressure of wanting to have it all, like I said earlier on, the successful career, the perfect mother, the perfect wife, wanting to handle it all and manage it all. From a social standpoint, it's more acceptable for women to drink just as much as their male counterparts. That's exactly what women are beginning to feel. And then obviously the economic consequences of alcohol consumption, I mean, is very severe in that, particularly for the poor, because aside from the money spent on drinks, heavy drinkers can suffer other economic problems such as lower wages and lost employment opportunities, increased medical and legal expenses, decreased eligibility for loans. Yeah, I mean, it's a lot.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Zahira, for sharing that. I'm sure that maybe when you come back on your second bite, you would also maybe give us just a sense of the rate of women who come through your program, when you come back, and if there are any relapse and those who have to restart again the program, and also the successes. I think you will share with us, and also you'll share the contact details for our viewers who need help or who have families that they might want to refer. Before I go to Umam Tandi, let me give Dr. Nyati just to also talk on the effects of alcohol, health-wise, as a health expertise. Doc?
All right. Thank you, Speaker. Being the Women's Month, and being a male on this panel, I think I have to say very little. Dr. Ndombi,
you are a thorn amongst the roses. Oh, you and Sipo.
Yes. You are the endangered species on this platform today. But anyway, just one or two things without really taking much time. There's a point that Dr. Kumalo mentioned, which was that whilst drinking alcohol in moderation is not necessarily a problem, but the abuse of alcohol is the problem, because it may lead to a point where your body is actually dependent, on that, and so you find that you're no longer controlling the use of alcohol. Alcohol is controlling you, and when you are actually drunk, then sometimes it affects, your behavior. It affects, your family, society. So you become a problem, basically, to society. Now, women, unfortunately, although I mean we both created by the Creator, there are those stories about the rib and everything. I'm not gonna get there, but women are in a disadvantage in terms of how they are built, because generally women, weight-wise, they are smaller built than males. However, the fat content of females is always higher than for males. Why am I emphasizing this? Is because when you drink alcohol, it then gets stored in the fat. So because females have got more fat than males, therefore there will be more storage of alcohol amongst females than with males. So I thought that point was important to raise. Number two, alcohol gets stored in the water or fluids within the body. Now, those fluids tend to be less within women compared to men, and therefore the concentration of the alcohol in women having drunk the same amount of alcohol tends to be higher. So for those two design reasons, physiologically, women are therefore at a much higher risk of, getting to, being more drunk for the same amount of alcohol drunk compared to males. So I think it's important for us to understand that. The second thing, in South Africa, for all the reasons and the social problems we have, people find refuge in taking alcohol as a form of escapism from coping with whatever, socio-economic problems that they may be facing. And so we have seen it now during the COVID-19, where, for the first time, people could not find alcohol so that they can escape. They were locked down in their homes, those who didn't have stores of alcohol in their homes. So the point I'm trying to make here is that sometimes we need to look deeper into what is driving the person to escape to alcohol or alcohol abuse, rather than just looking at the end effect of abuse of alcohol. So when somebody abuses alcohol, most often than not, there are underlying issues that they are not dealing with. And we need to therefore make sure that today we're talking about females, obviously, those people are supported by organizations like the one that Zahira comes from, because there's usually a problem relating to that. And if we don't deal with the problem, then the relapse rate is high because you have not dealt with the underlying problem. So I think those are my only points I needed to make. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Doc. Indeed, I am more educated. I'm more empowered in knowing that females store more alcohol than males. And because of that, I am more empowered. And now it makes sense why, if me and my brother are taking a drink, maybe I could get drunk before he does. So yeah, I think we are very much empowered. Before I call upon Mam Thandi, let me acknowledge people who have joined us. We are also joined by another thorn amongst the roses, Stephen from Hot 91.9. Thank you very much, Stephen, for joining us. We really appreciate yourself, especially because you represent the media. And the media is key to our communication and to make sure that our messages are known by everybody there. Your presence is really appreciated. You are most welcome. Thank you very much, Stephen. And feel free to participate here. It's not just Hot 91.9.
Okay. All right.
I guess when he speaks, he will tell us which media houses get information from Hot 91.9. And we also have other people whom I am unable to recognize because they are not named with their names. I have Galaxy A51. I have a person with the number 30092272. I have iPad. And I would really like to acknowledge the presence of those attendees. If you could just maybe tell us your names so that we can properly acknowledge you, because we appreciate your presence here. I saw Toivo, but she left. I can't see her any longer. So if you could just show yourself so that we can acknowledge you. Mam Thandi, we call Mam Thandi, we affectionately call her Mam T in the city of Johannesburg, and she's been with the city for some time now. She's now the chairperson of GOD, as I had introduced her. So Mam Thandi will tell us how can different stakeholders come together, and especially government. How can government join hands with different stakeholders, with NGOs, partnership? We have something called a private-public partnership. How we can join hands in fighting this scourge and assisting women out there. Mamti, over to you. Talk about the NGOs and society, how we can join hands, to change the negative attitude towards the consumption of alcohol and to help women who are in desperate need of assistance. Over to you, Mamtandi.
All right, let me see if I can help her. Unmute. Yeah, she's on now.
Okay, you are on now, Mamti. You can speak.
She's switched herself off again.
Yeah, don't switch yourself off, Mamtandi. Please unmute her, doc.
I think she's trying to do the same. Let me leave her. Right, she's on. Madam Speaker, you can talk to her. She's on now.
Firstly, let me take this opportunity to wish every woman a happy and
Oh, we lost. We lost her. We lost sound.
fabulous Women's Month, Madam Speaker.
Yes.
August is always reminding us about the brave women who fought for the liberation of women of this country, of ours. Let us not forget, Madam Speaker, that they did not only fight for liberation, but also
Line's not
fight
clear.
for
We can't hear
gender.
her.
But also
Mamtandi, we can't hear you. No.
Can you hear me, Madam
The
Speaker?
line is bad.
Let's not forget that the women of this country did not only fight for liberation, but also fighting for gender equality.
Mamtandi, we still can't hear you. You're not very clear at all.
Race and color. I beg your pardon?
You.
Madam Speaker.
You're breaking up a little bit.
You're breaking up a little bit, Mamtandi. You're breaking up a little bit.
Hello, can you assist me, Andres?
Yes, we can hear you now. Tala kuleso spot, we can hear you there.
Can you assist me, La?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Hello? Hello?
No, can't hear
you. You can hear me now?
Little bit.
Yeah, the bandwidth is very bad there.
Yeah, she must switch off the camera.
I wishing a breaky baguette.
Yes, that's good now.
It always reminds us about the brave women, the liberation of every woman in this country for ours. Let us not forget about.
Mamti, switch off the camera.
It's good now.
Switch off the camera so that we can maybe better hear you.
Yeah, Madam Speaker.
Yes. Yeah. Switch off your camera. Switch off the camera so that you can be audible and save the bandwidth. Can she switch off the camera? And we want to hear. Yeah, that would be better maybe. Yeah, you can speak now, Mamti.
Madam Speaker.
Hello.
Perhaps we should take a few comments from Sipho whilst we give Mamtandi an opportunity to sort out her network. It's just a suggestion on my end. Thank you.
All right, Sipho, can we get comments from our viewers whilst Mamtandi is sort out in network, Sipho?
Okay, can you hear me, madam?
Yes.
Yeah, she's still speaking. Hello? Okay. Can I proceed, Madam Speaker?
Yes, Sipho. Yes, Sipho.
Okay. All right. Okay, cool. Just a few comments that have just come through. Thank you very much to all the presenters. I think very informative indeed. I've enjoyed listening to your.
All right. Sipho is also. Sipho, you are also challenged.
Comes from Lestejo. The presentation I've heard today is that it turns out that women consume a lot more alcohol than we should.
Sipho, we can't hear you. We can't hear you now, Sipho. You are also network challenged.
All right, you see now. All right, I think you must take over, speaker. Let's move on.
Yeah, Mam Thandi, are you sorted now? Let's check on Mam Thandi. Can we unmute her? Can we unmute Mam Thandi and see if we can be assisted?
Yeah, I'm trying to. It's not easy.
My network, my bandwidth is very bad today.
Yeah, switch off the camera, Sipho.
Okay, cool.
And then just
right.
talk to us. Yeah.
Okay. This one says, I wonder why women tend to abuse so much alcohol. Could men be the reason for the abuse of alcohol? And then I see another one from Tebogo says, thank you, Madam Speaker. Great conversation with your guests once again. And then there's a bunch of messages that just says, conversation, an important conversation. And then
today. Okay.
Network is very bad today.
So yeah, the thing is back.
The new normal is dealing with this conversation today. Why? You know. Yeah, it's the load shedding. Sorry, guys. Sorry, Sipho. Mamti, are you back?
Madam Speaker.
Yes.
It's Stephen. I appreciate you having problems. May I make 2 comments?
Yeah.
Yes, Stephen, you may. You may. Thanks.
I just know there is load shedding taking place. That's the first thing, and I know the cellular networks suffer during load shedding because there's fewer cells. So I imagine that might be one of the problems causing the problem with connectivity. I'm fortunate in that I'm not using a cellular network, but it's very you know, this is a woman's discussion, and I feel like a bit of an imposter making comments about this. But of course, it is probably important to get a male perspective anyway, and it's also important for us as males to learn this, because isn't that part of the problem we have when it comes to gender inequality? Is whatever we blame the reasons for the gender-based violence on, there's that gulf which exists between male and females, which no matter how you look for reasons, whether it's what people wear or the way they behave, is one of the things we need to appreciate. But I really found it in a way refreshing and perhaps concerning the way Dr. Khumalo, and I really respect, you know, the experience and the research she shows, is, I mean, she mentioned that the one thing which in my mind illustrates the problem we have with that women have. She spoke about the dangers of being more adventurous for women who are more adventurous, and you know, the impact of their behavior when they're having a night out. I mean, to my mind, women should be able to express themselves the way they want to express themselves without the risk. So it was almost like a red light to me, which said, you know, that's almost a concession that women should change the way they behave. So in other words, restrict themselves. So that was just the thought that I had on what Dr. Khumalo said. And I think realistically, in the climate we live in, it's sensible. Because, you know, it's like if you stick a pole into a hornet's nest, you know what's going to happen. It's like we say, if a woman walks into, you know, past men who are drunk, for instance, and she's wearing a mini skirt, we say, but you're taking your life. So, you know, I get that sense that we are still fighting some of those societal norms, which may make, when we talk about alcohol, because I mean, maybe I am getting a little bit topic, but it does mean women have to be so much more careful about their use of alcohol because it makes them more vulnerable. That's my point.
Okay, can we, thank you very much, Stephen. Thank you for your contribution. I think here we also need to go towards the fact that what is it that we can do as a society to rescue ourselves from this scourge. So how best we can work together. If Mam Thandi is not yet sorted, I will, there are people who are on the platform. There's iPad. Doc, if I may maybe give 3 minutes to iPad. iPad is Toivo, I think. Toivo? Any
yes,
comments?
Madam Speaker. Yes,
Yeah.
Madam Speaker. It's Toivo speaking.
Yes, my dear. Any comments on the topic?
I think it's a very interesting topic, and I think we should broaden it up even further because I think it's affecting both young and old women, and I think it's something that as society we should be debating and discussing some of these issues. So that's it from my side. I'm interested in hearing what Mam Thandi was going to say, because then at least it will give some indication that as a city we are trying to formalize a position that will help us take us forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and and thank you very much for your contribution as a young woman here on the platform. We really need to broaden the discussion. Mam Thandi, can we hear you?
She's not yet back.
Or she's not yet back. Let's go back to Dr. Ntombi.
Yeah.
For a second bite.
Thanks, Madam Speaker. I think I hear where Stephen is coming from, and perhaps a little bit of a misunderstanding in what I tried to articulate. So when I spoke about some of the effects that alcohol has on the body, physiological, and how it actually affects the brain and how it changes your behavior. So it would obviously it could never be justifiable that when a man has drunk and he becomes more aggressive, and that is something that is known, research-based as well, that people who abuse alcohol can tend to be more aggressive, but that does not excuse a man being aggressive and abusing a woman. And the same would apply, and we can't we can't naturally say that aggression is how that man wants to express themselves, and therefore it should be acceptable. And the same would apply in the comment around, if women in some cases have abused alcohol, then become more sexually expressive, if I may put it that way as well. It doesn't mean necessarily that being aggressive is wrong, but what results from that aggression. So if you're feeling more sexual and you express yourself that way, perhaps that is not wrong. But the point being highlighted is that alcohol does affect you. It does change your behavior. It does alter how you behave as opposed to how you would in the norm. So it's not said in the context of saying perhaps then women drink too much or abuse alcohol and then find themselves, they compromise themselves. That's not a blame on women. They drink and that happens. The same as men drink and they get perhaps more aggressive in some instances. Women do as well, but it doesn't excuse what results as the reaction of aggression, for example, or a reaction of being more sexual or showing more sexual interest, but the point is that would not ordinarily be the behavior that you would show if you hadn't abused alcohol. So I think that's just maybe just to clarify that little bit, Madam Speaker. But yeah, I think a lot of what the doctor, my colleagues have said makes a lot of sense. If as women, I think the responsibilities that we carry can easily, cause one to want to find an escape in alcohol. And I think what's important, you mentioned now that I think one of the things that we need to discuss is how do we move ourselves from a situation of the stats that you highlighted at the beginning of the talk, where you mentioned that, alcohol is the #1 drug that, is problematic in our country. And I think those are the conversations that need to be had. And I think primarily, the more we educate people about the effects of alcohol and actually how it compromises their health and how it affects their bodies, I think that could be a very good start. And also encouraging, I think, I'm going to generalize perhaps, and, I'll take the blame if it comes, if it's distasteful. But I know as African people, Black people, we tend to, if someone suffers from depression, for example, the first thing you think you can do is, let me maybe have alcohol. It will erase everything I'm going through. Because we tend to have the thing, I snap out of it. Suka mina ngizala abantwana abayi-5 when uzokhaliswa abantwana abayi-2 unjani kanti umfazi ini. So those sort of attitudes are things that we need to change in our societies to encourage people to actually seek the best kind of help to deal with the difficulties that they have, especially as women. We work, we have the households to manage, we have, children, we have, all these responsibilities. And I think they are added and they can sometimes become stressful to a point where someone might want to find, an escape in alcohol. So I think those are the ways in which we can begin to, to form a narrative towards moving away from seeing the amounts of, alcohol abuse going on in our communities. So firstly, looking and concentrating on psychological health of people and raising awareness around those sort of issues. And secondly, the other point that I make that has now just suddenly skipped my mind, Madam Chair, but I think those are the two things that become crucial for me in terms of how do we get ourselves out of this situation. Psychological health is a huge aspect, like Doctor said earlier on, that people actually abuse alcohol because it's an escape. And if people find that to be the most natural way to deal with what they're dealing with, then I think we can immediately see the need to raise awareness around mental health in our communities. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you very much, Dr. Khumalo. I like your first explanation on the excuse that it doesn't mean that we should make an alcohol an excuse. You would hear some people who are abusing alcohol. They would do wrong things and offend people or abuse people or abuse women. And the following day they say, "Hi, no, I was drunk." As if
Yeah.
So what? So that kind of arrogance. So I really like your explanation. All right, let's go to Zahira. I see Toivo is not a counselor. She's an official. So I see she's Counselor Toivo. She's an official.
All right.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Zahira, let's hear from you, Miss Sai. The rate recovery, including recovery rate in your input that you are going to make now. Yeah.
Okay, if this is
how
my
best we can
this is my
assist our
second
women.
one, I'm going to take full advantage of saying everything I need to say. So, okay, so with our recovery, we have we have a 6-week. You have to be there for a minimum of 6 weeks in order to start seeing a change. So ordinarily, we've got, like I said earlier on, we've got over 30 groups, countrywide. And what we try and do is we used to, on different days, we would get together. At the moment, we're running WhatsApp groups, and we have WhatsApp groups, and across the country, giving you a national footprint. And we have coordinators, group coordinators, who are always on hand to assist for all kinds of questions and help and support. When we say how long must you be on the program, I could say how long is a piece of string, because with recovery, I mean, when an addict or when somebody has been told that they are an addict of any kind, they are always in recovery. That's a motto that Tough Love believes in. You are always in recovery. And being that being the case, the family then suffers, their cravings. The family then suffers, the end of their frustrations, their they're coming out of rehabilitation and wanting to go to the abuse, and that's where we come in that we empower the family. We empower the family to support the person who's been troubled. We are there to help, because it's a symbiotic, it's a codependent relationship. I mean, families live together, they all kind of interact, they communicate, they're codependent on each other. And if the one person then is toxic, it's like an apple cart. If the one person is toxic, it causes anxiety and tension throughout the family, the family section, the nuclear family dynamics. That's the word. So ideally, I mean, we've had people come in there for 6 months and their circumstances would change for the better. They would feel stronger and they would stop with the program. Some people would come back just to kind of keep themselves, on that high level of emotional intelligence that they received from Tough Love, because Tough Love obviously helps with all types of all forms of confidence and, like I said, levels of emotional intelligence, levels of support. And some people stay on for many years to come simply because they enjoy the support in every facet of their lives. I mean, they would come there based on the fact that they may have a child who's abusing alcohol or substance, or they themselves have been abused. And then they would stay on for years thereafter because they probably have problems at work, which they'd like to deal with. They'd have problems with family that they'd like to deal with. So that's what we're there for. I just want to come back to something that, sorry, Madam Speaker, I hope you don't mind. I just want to come back to something that Stephen mentioned with regards to him being or you mentioned him being from the media. And what Dr. Ntombi said is that, how do we bring this together? And I feel very strongly in that the media is our voice.
Yes.
We cannot, we as a small organization as Tough Love, yes, we can do as much as we can, trying to engage with different ministries and that type of thing. But it's the media. We need to get the media involved to spread the growth, to spread the upliftment to the community. We need people who are going to share. There is so much content that can be newsworthy, and if we push more advertising, for Tough Love, for many of the other organizations that are out there, we can uplift the economy. And it comes a full circle, because clearly if we uplift these people, they're going to contribute to the economy, which will obviously propagate more advertisements, which will propagate more of a revenue. It just everything has a knock-on effect. And I feel that, we need to be heard. We need the media to help us to thrust ourselves forward, to let people see what is out there, see the help that's out there that they can turn toward.
Thank you very much, Zahira. Thank you so much. I couldn't agree with you more on media partnership, on the partnership with the media, in spreading the good news, in empowering and uplifting communities and women in particular. Doc, any closing remarks or second bite or comments?
Which doc?
All right, Dr. Nyati.
Oh.
I have doctors today. Sorry, I must mind.
No, that's fine. I think for me, again, it's stuff that was touched on by Dr. Ndombi. Alcohol, as as a substance, initially, it's actually a stimulant at the beginning. So people get excited, they lose inhibitions. They do things that they would not normally do, But then later on, it becomes a depressant, which slows down, the bodily functions, the brain. That's why the reflexes of somebody who is drunk are slower. Therefore, they are more likely to be involved in accidents and things like that. So people, just because of that early part of excitement, where it's a stimulant, they actually think it will give them that, all the way. But actually, once it has established itself inside the body, it actually depresses almost all your bodily functions. And that's the time where people even make poor judgments, or make decisions that they would regret the day after. So I think it's important for people to know that some of the decisions, the loss of inhibitions, the poor judgments, it's something that comes with consuming alcohol. And at that point, it differs from one person to the other. So it's important that know your limits, know that once I've drunk so much, I'll get to this point, and because I'm likely to make wrong decisions, things I'll regret at that point. So we shouldn't really be drinking to get drunk, just drink a little bit, to relax, but not to get drunk. But most people in South Africa, they drink to get drunk. And with that, obviously, impaired judgment and all of that. So it's important for us to know that. But like I said, once a person has been an alcoholic or is an alcoholic, that's a symptom. Deal with the underlying problem. What is driving them to abuse alcohol or to a point of them being, alcoholics? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Doc. Thank you very much. So, mau thati plug, unga abuse. Unga abuse because you will regret. Thank you very much. Maybe, Sipho, let's hear some few comments from our viewers, and then I'll hand over to Chair of Chairs to do the closing remarks. Mamthanda kakabuyi. Mamthandi, are you not back yet?
No, she's not here. Yeah,
she's not here. Okay. Oh, we apologize for that. We are very sorry. I know that you had a message for us and for our viewers from GOD and government point of view. I hope that next time the network will be better so that we can hear that message. Sipho, just few comments from our viewers, and then I'll hand over to Chair of Chairs to thank our panelists and thank everybody.
All right, Sipho is not in.
Oh, Sipho is not in either.
Yeah, no, I think load shedding is playing games. Maybe you should ask both Zahira and Dr. Ndombi to wrap up.
Yeah.
Yes, okay. and then you hand over to the Chair of Chairs.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much for that advice, Doc. Dr. Ndombi, I hope you are still on time with your next appointment.
Yes, I am still online. And I think I won't have much to say, except I really do feel passionately about how we move forward, in the sense that we really do begin to talk around mental illnesses in our society. So people do know there's somewhere easy access to getting that sort of assistance when they need it. And I think at the crux of everything that we can discuss, how the body metabolizes alcohol, etc., is the fact that when, alcohol abuse leads to, compromises your immune system. And obviously, when that happens, it means you're compromising your health, and you put yourself at risk of being sick or contracting any diseases or conditions or viruses or any other microorganisms very easily, So I think that's something I would like to leave in the minds of the viewers and the listeners at this particular time, that's how much you compromise your health when you do abuse alcohol. So perhaps if that stays in mind, hopefully it does help to assist people to be mindful of the contents and the quantities of the amount of alcohol that they take. But thank you so much. To the panels, I think everyone has really raised important aspects for us to ponder on, and for us to really be more conscious around, the impact of alcohol, on our children in the household. If there is abuse in a household, the impact that has on children. And I think that was discussed as well. So I think just encourage all of us to be aware and conscious of the health risks that abusing alcohol comes with. Thanks, Speaker.
Thank you very much, Dr. Khumalo. This was indeed an awareness session, and we have really gained a lot of information. And thank you very much for your participation and your contribution. We have to move forward. These sessions should not be eventful, but it should be ongoing discussions. And to assist our people, and also to see an impact that these sessions are doing. I really appreciate your presence. Zahira?
For me, I have to agree with Dr. Ntombi in that, there is a huge stigma in many societies, and specifically in South Africa, where we do not look at mental health, and we do not look at substance and alcohol abuse as a problem. There's a huge stigma attached to it, in that nobody wants to disclose. And I think if we accept the fact that there's help out there, and we understand that we can go without being stigmatized, we can look for help without feeling isolated, without having to isolate and hide the problem away. I think if we make ourselves more transparent to people, to neighbors, to communities, to anybody and everybody, I think we can, firstly, I think we'll find ourselves helping each other. Secondly is, I think we'll understand that there isn't that much of a stigma attached to anything. I mean, everybody, a lot of societies suffer from similarities in terms of mental illnesses. And it's just a case of not stigmatizing the person, not stigmatizing those who suffer from alcohol abuse and drug abuse. It's not something to feel ashamed about. Rather, if you're happy and you're wanting to seek the help, there is help out there. Yeah, that's kind of all I have to say. From a Tough Love perspective, if anybody's interested, they can visit our website. We have a website called toughlove.org.za. We also have a Facebook page. Both Facebook and Instagram are both called Tough Love SA. We also have, like I said, a national central call center number, which is 0861 868 445. That's readily available. Anybody can call in for any type of help and guidance.
Wow. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that empowerment. I hope that our viewers have taken down the contacts that you have just shared. Maybe in 2 minutes, let me give Stephen, the role of media in the whole thing, in the whole process, and in the whole objectives that we have spoken about, that we need to hold hands together, because this is a societal problem. And how do we as a society make sure that we resolve and we tackle this problem head on, the role of media.
Hey, look, I hear
Sorry
I'm
to put
catching
you on the spot.
I mean, you know what? I mean, I appreciate what Zahira says, and I know we have a role to play. But I mean, well, it's like this: the conversations I've had with Sipho, and sometimes some of these things, I don't know. I feel they are things people don't want to hear, and sometimes it's when people like the media who look, let's be honest, there's a perception of myself working in media, yourself as a public servant, well, or a politician at that level, you know, that there's a different level, obviously. Everyone's different, you know, and then we speak to the medical professionals. You know, when we speak, and we speak from, hopefully we speak from a basis of knowledge and from a position of wanting to help people. But a lot of that message is falling on a defense mechanisms. It's like mental health. It's like, but like alcoholism, you can only confront the issue when you have actually admitted the problem. So then if we say, you know, the alcohol is a problem and the alcohol creates extra problems, whether it's the health problems, the mental health problems, you know, we know for a fact that, you know, science tells us that if you drink too much, organ damage, mental health damage, nerve damage, that, you know, ultimately, if you knew how bad alcohol was for you, and you understood it properly, you know, would be a lot more careful. But then when we speak to it, so I feel, yes, we have a role to play as media, but I don't know quite if we're getting the message right, because what we need is we need our peers, and maybe that's part of the message is reaching the peers to say, my friend, you have a problem. And let me take your hand and let me show you where we are the way. And, you know, it's also a case that sometimes you can try as often as you can, but sometimes the message doesn't get through. So if I had the answer of how we could snap that switch, well, we wouldn't be sitting here having this discussion now, would we?
Yes.
You know, that's so, yeah, I mean, yes, we have to keep speaking about it. Are we speaking about it in the right way? Wow, I you know, I don't know. And you know, the message we need to keep saying the message. I mean, you know, eventually, hopefully, it gets through.
Yes.
Madam Speaker, if you don't mind, I'd just like to reply to Stephen. Stephen, I agree with you 100% in that, yes, we do. However, if we use the media as a voice in order to target a healthier community, you will get buy-in from the community collectively. You will get buy-in from the families who are suffering with people who are abusing alcohol and substance and suffering from mental disorders and that type of thing. And once you get family buy-in, you will get community buy-in. And when you've got community buy-in, you then obviously have everybody jumping on board. And I think if we work collectively to try and get people like Tough Love, other groups like us. I mean, I know that Transformation Life Center in Buklu is a full female rehab center. I mean, you know, so you get people like them on board, and you get, like I said, if the media can help us in order to work with the family, it's the family that will buy into all of this, and they will then work collectively with you into getting the numbers down.
Yeah. Yes, thank you very much. Thank you so much. Yeah, and thank you, Stephen. Thank you, Zahira. I think.
Thank you, Dr. Kumalo and Madam Speaker and Dr. Nyati and Stephen for your time.
Yeah, I'll hand over to the chair of chairs to thank all the panelists and the contributions, and also to thank all our viewers, and maybe a bit of a way forward as to how best we can assist our communities and how best we can support those who are like yourselves, Tough Love, media, our doctors, in uplifting our society. Chair of Chairs, Councillor Salfina Mulauzi.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, it's quite an interesting topic again, that we have. These are the topics that we have every week, and they are very interesting, and we get educated and more empowered every week when we join in the sessions. Madam Speaker, I would like to just talk about, women, as we are talking about women, and say, as women, we normally like to be coming together, with whatever challenges that you might be having at home. We like our stokvel, burial societies, and all those things. And there you find at the end of the day, there's some little likwanyana there where you say, hey, I'm distressing when you have your problems, but we don't normally talk about our challenges or problems that we have there. We just go there, and then one would drink and overdrink, and because while she's drinking, maybe she's thinking about her problems at home. But then, Madam Speaker, I remember in the city, we once had active women's forums. We once had very active women's forums, and I know you used to attend those and empower women. If we can maybe resuscitate those women forums where they are no more, and in the wards, it was regional, it was ward women's forums and regional women's forums. If we can just try and resuscitate them and make sure that we not only empower women economically, because previously it would be about how do you come together and come up with an organization, an NGO or whatever. But now, and even, concentrating on saying, how do we empower our women socially? How do we make sure that they understand the challenges that they are facing? And how do we then empower them to deal with challenges that they have? Like maybe having monthly talks, quarterly talks to the groups of women, having good relationships, Zahira, with yourselves as NGOs and CBOs, making it a point that, because I was once a ward councillor, working with NGOs and CBOs, it's so easy. When you create a relationship with them, they will always be there. I know you always have these events that you have. And I understand and know that once we create, revisit those women's forums, and we have this relationship with NGOs and CBOs, our women, we will try to reduce, and make women understand that, mawuphuza kakhulu, you end up going to a tavern the whole 24 hours, forgetting you have kids at home and all those things, because you are a woman, and talking about empowering them, Dr. Nyati, about, hey, you're fat in there when you bamba utwala more longer and quicker and whatever than a man, and just understanding, these issues that we are talking about. So if we can, I know that we are in the new normal now, it becomes a bit difficult, but I think we should look into it, Madam Speaker, through these programs of yours, look into how can we re-establish or revive the women's forums to make sure that information goes down to the people. But I would then take this opportunity, because we have other meetings as well, Madam Speaker. I had sort of apologized, but I would like to take this opportunity, colleagues, to really, really thank you, Madam Speaker and Dr. Nyati, on these Wednesday topics that we tend to miss when they're out there. And you are really empowering us as communities and all those people that are watching. There is a what you call, people just tend to know that every 4 o'clock Wednesday, you just tune in. You know, you go to Facebook, you go to Twitter and the YouTube document. I watch your YouTubes. I even after I know you record and you then put them on YouTube. Whatever I miss, I even see your long time things that you did on YouTube. So watching YouTube colleagues, there's a lot of information from Dr. Nyati. Just follow him and get a lot of info on his YouTubes. And thank you very much, Zahira, your Tough Love organization. Thank you very much for the information that you gave us. Dr. Ntombi Khumalo, I know you are, we were scannering about you that, hey, that one she talks. And you are so passionate, and we like it. We like your how passionate you are on issues of what you call of women. And thank you very, very, very much for sharing your information with us. And Councillor Thandi Poto, we really are missing your input. I know you had prepared a very beautiful input for ourselves, and really sorry that you could not share it with us. I know Madam Speaker will give you another opportunity, maybe sooner, for you to share with us what you had prepared. And I would like to even thank Stephen, our media person there, is part and parcel. And we thank you very much for having contributed in the event today. And even Naksasa, keep on coming and sharing with us and getting more info on what we are thinking as politicians, and then putting it out there as a media person to our people. And I would like to thank Toivo as well, and 30092272, even though you never said anything, we don't even know who it is. Next time, please indicate who you are so that we can properly know who you are. And Galaxy A51 for just coming on board. Thank you very, very much. I don't know who is that. And I would like to really thank our viewers and listeners. Thank you very much. Without you, we wouldn't be or do what we are doing. We are doing this because you people are listening to us, and you are watching us on Facebook and other. What you call. Thank you very much. We would like to say to you, please keep on joining us. Keep on every Wednesday, 4 o'clock. Let it be a date. Every Wednesday, 4 o'clock, you have a date with the Speaker of Council of Johannesburg and Dr. Nyati. Please keep on doing it. Thank you very much. Madam Speaker, it was a very beautiful, as usual, events that we had. Thank you very much. Nangomso, guys, don't get tired. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Chair of Chairs. Thank you very much for thanking everyone and thanking us. We do apologize. The network coverage today was not in our favor because of the load shedding schedules that are there in different areas. We do apologize, but thank you so much, and please enjoy the rest of the day. Doc, I know you are going to another session.
Yeah.
Please send us information. We'll tune in, but I always get messages that you are live now. Then yeah, I see. Thank you very much. Thank you very much to everyone. Cheers.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye, Madam Speaker. Bye, Doc.
Bye. Thank you, Tagas. Sipo sent a message that he's been kicked out by the network. So, okay.
Yeah, he did say he was having network problems. Okay.
Yeah.
All right then.
Thanks.
Okay. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.